Hello everybody! Today I'm going to show you how to get DNA out of plant cells, and as a start I've drawn a very basic diagram of a plant cell and where you find its DNA. So this is a plant cell, which means it's surrounded by a cellulose cell wall. We also have in red the nucleus. That's where you find the nuclear DNA, shown as the black squiggles. There are two other locations in a plant cell that have DNA. So we have the chloroplast, which has its own DNA in little tiny circles, and the mitochondria also contains its own DNA. Another reason we know this is a plant cell is that most of the volume is taken up by this giant blue vacuole. So that's the basics of a plant cell and where you find the DNA. Hi, I'm Dr. Katie Burnett, and I'm going to be talking through the protocol of how to extract DNA from rice leaves. So I've drawn a flow chart showing all of the steps, and I'm going to talk through them with you. Step 1. Get a frozen rice leaf and place it in a mortar on your desktop. The instructor will come around and add some liquid nitrogen to all of the mortars. Step 2. Take your pestle and start grinding. Really put some effort into it. We want to grind that piece of frozen rice leaf until it's a very, very fine powder. When in doubt, just keep grinding. Step 3. Once your leaf is ground to a very fine powder, you're going to want to add 1,000 microliters of extraction buffer. Once you add the buffer, keep grinding. It's going to melt and become a liquid. Step 4. Transfer 1,000 microliters of your ground up rice leaf in the extraction buffer into a tube that you have labeled with a number for your rice strain and your initials. Step 5. Add 120 microliters of 10% SDS to your tube and then invert it several times to mix thoroughly. Step 6. Place your tubes in the 65 degrees Celsius heated bead bath for at least 20 minutes. Now, if you have more than one sample, this is when you go back and repeat steps 1 through 5. Start the 20-minute timer after your last sample is in the heat bath.
You only need about half that.
We'll wait for it to stop, right?
It's mostly gone.
Okay,
This
let's go a little
is-
bit.
That's fine, go for it. It's mostly done, tilt it to the camera.
Step 7. Add 300 microliters of 5 molar potassium acetate to each of your samples and invert several times to mix. It will start to look cloudy. Once you've mixed them, place your samples on ice for at least 5 minutes.
All right, 5 minutes. Step 8. Place your samples in the centrifuge, close the lid, and spin them for 5 minutes at top speed. Your instructors will show you how to use the centrifuge. While you're waiting for your samples to spin, now is the time to label a new tube, again with the plant number corresponding to your rice and your initials. Step 9. You're going to take your new tube from step 8 and fold a funnel out of a piece of mirror cloth and put it in the top. Instructors will show you how to make a funnel out of a piece of cloth. Once you have this set up, you're going to take your original tube that now has a pellet at the bottom that you're going to want to avoid, and you're going to use your pipette to transfer about 800 microliters of the supernatant liquid part from your original tube into the mirror cloth and let it filter into your new tube. Step 10. You're going to add 600 microliters of isopropanol to each of your tubes. Then you're going to invert it several times to mix. Step 11. Put your samples in the centrifuge and let it spin at top speed for 5 minutes. Step 12. Step 12. Take your tubes out of the centrifuge and quickly open them and pour off the supernatant. Use your P20 to remove the very last drops of liquid that remain in the end of the tube. Step 13. You're going to add 500 microliters of 70% ethanol to your tube. Then you're going to take your finger and flick your tube to try to dislodge the tiny pellet of DNA. If you're not sure if you have it, ask your instructors for help. So flick it like you mean it. Step 14. Put your samples back in the centrifuge and spin for 5 minutes at top speed. Step 15. Take your tubes out of the centrifuge and quickly pour off the supernatant. Again, use your P20 to remove any last drops of liquid that remain in the top of the tube. Step 16. Open the lid for each of your tubes and place them back in the 65-degree bead bath for at least 5 minutes until dry. You want to let that last bit of ethanol evaporate, so again, make sure the lids are open. Step 17. Add 100 microliters of resuspension buffer to each of your tubes and let them sit for 5 minutes. That's it, you are done. You have successfully extracted DNA from your rice plants, and your instructor will tell you what to do next.